What's up guys, welcome to our channel. My name is Pete and today I'm going to be making some charro beans, or at least the way I make my charro beans for a Christmas posada with some friends that we're going to be having later on today. So I'm going to walk you through the ingredients that I use and a little bit quick step by step of how to prepare them, and at the end we'll go and have a little taste test. Some basic things you're going to be needing is a cutting board, knife, salt, bacon, hot dogs, weenies, the most important part obviously the pinto beans, an onion, 2 tomatoes, serrano peppers to your liking. I bought 4 of them. I probably won't use all of them because I don't want them to be too spicy. I want everybody to enjoy them, but just to have a little bit of a kick. And think of garlic. There's going to be about less than 20 of us, about 15 people. So I'm going to make the whole bag of the beans. This is a 2-pound bag. Should have more than enough. I'm going to go and rinse these off. Once I decide that they're clean enough, I'm going to use a pot to boil the water in it and add salt. I will probably use I know it seems like an excessive amount, but I'm going to use a cup of salt because the beans will absorb a lot of the water and the salt, so you won't really taste it that much. This is a bigger pot than I would have liked for the amount that I'm making, but it's what I have for right now, so I'm going to fill it up like about halfway or so and get started with that. I lied, guys. I used like 3/4 of a cup because it did seem like a little bit too much once I was measuring it. For now, I think that's a really good amount. If you want to start off with less, like maybe half a cup, go ahead and do that, and you can just add salt as you go. The last time I made them, they needed a lot more salt, so that's why I already know to add it already. Okay guys, so I went already ahead and added the water to boil in the pot. I have already cleaned out our beans. I just have them here resting on the side. I like to wait a little bit before I dump them into the water just to give them a little heads up. And I do like to make sure I thoroughly wash all the beans with warm water or hot water if you can stand it in your hands. And I kind of use my hands and rinse them out and just comb through them, making sure they're really clean. I went ahead and already washed our tomatoes and our serrano peppers. I also went ahead and peeled the onion as well. I'm going to chop that up right now. And I always like to have like a little bowl or something where I can just dump all my pre-cut items. So let me get that right now. So this is going to be my little container that I use for prepping. So I'm going to cut the onion in half and then half again, so into 4ths. And that I will dump all of it into the boiling water as of now. For the garlic, I went ahead and broke off 3 little cloves. I'm going to go ahead and take them off I would normally smash these, but actually I'm going to go ahead and just peel them off myself, as I don't want all the little pieces to be floating around inside the beans. So I have the 3 cloves of garlic here. I'm going to throw those in the water as well. And in case you haven't noticed, I do have a lot of OCD, so I'm making sure that I always clean up after every little step, because I cannot stand having a dirty cooking area as I'm doing all of this. Moving on to the next step, I'm going to go ahead and cut the tomatoes right now. I find tomatoes so difficult to cut because they're so squishy, but we learn as we go. And I like to cut out that little middle part, like that has, I guess, the stem stuck to it still, or the core of it, just because. All of these little recipes that I do, I ask my mom like 3 times before I actually start cooking them. So what I'm going to start doing, like I mentioned to Eric, I want to start having like a little digital journal of recipes specifically from her, the way she cooks them, because later on, she won't be around, and I can always have those as a memory of how she would cook for us. And we already spoke to her, so hopefully sometime soon we'll have her here on the channel showing us how to cook some of her little recipes. My mom's always been a really good cook. I mean, everybody says that their mom's a good cook, right? But that's the truth when other people compliment her cooking, so she must be a good cook. I cook for us, but my cooking is like more measured, and hers is very natural. Maybe because she's always been cooking since she was little, and I just cook periodically. I guess if I get in the routine of cooking more dishes and something, out of the ordinary, I can become more fluent in the kitchen and more comfortable with the way I cook. I have my certain dishes that Eric likes for me to make, but I want to be able to just kind of like grab stuff and go rather than having a a list in front of me and going off that, I guess more natural. I know some people add pork, like actual pork legs to their charro beans. I don't particularly like that myself because I don't like the flavor it gives. It's kind of strong. And it always happens that I end up getting a pork hoof or whatever you want to call it, and that kind of grosses me out. So I rather put like a weenie hot dog or some bacon in there, or both. In this case, we're going to be doing both, and Eric does like for me to put quite a bit, so that way we can use the whole pack. I will be using the whole pack. I also believe that when you're cooking and you're in a good mood, the food tastes like you're in a good mood. Because if you're mad, the food always comes out wrong or bothered by something. These do take a while to make, especially because of the quantity. So you don't want to make these like wait till the last minute to cook them. You want to cook them in advance. That way you're not rushing, because it happened to me the very first time that I waited to cook them, or maybe I don't remember what it was, but I think I just waited to cook them kind of closer to the event because I didn't want them to get ugly. And big mistake. I was so panicked because they weren't ready and the party was about to start. Tomatoes are done, onions are in the pot, the garlic is in the pot. I'm gonna cut the serranos at the end. Let me take off my rings. I'm gonna cut those at the end and add them like midway through the beans, so that way they don't infuse the beans too much and they're too spicy, but I also don't want them to be too bland. Okay, let's go ahead and cut open the hot dogs or weenies. These are simple. Just take the hot dog weenie and cut them into little pieces. I wouldn't go too thick nor too thin, and I'm not going to cut them into like little dices. I like to just leave them round. And I think these will go perfect for today's party because we are lucky and it is actually cold this whole weekend here. And cold for us is like in the 50s, so it's cold. These really hit the spot when you're like actually outside having a party and they give you charro beans. It's like they warm you up so good. Okay, so we did a whole pack, which was 12 of them. I'm gonna wash this off as well. And right now we're gonna go ahead and prep the bacon as well. I'm gonna leave that on the side because the bacon cooks pretty quickly in the boiling water. So we'll add that maybe 3/4 along the way of the finished product. One other thing I forgot to mention, because I already had it here prior, cilantro. That is kind of more of a garnish, and you will add that at the very, very end, maybe the last 15 minutes before you start serving it, just so it doesn't get too dissolved and like it just kind of evaporates. But just a little hint of it to give it the little garnish and slight taste of the cilantro. Obviously you're going to wash that, cut it. You don't want to cut it into tiny pieces, kind of like just rip it into shreds and just toss it in there and you're good to go. Okay, so I like to work with I like to cut them into fourths, the whole piece of bacon. Just make it a little bit easier. And make sure you have a sharp knife. This one does not seem to be that sharp for the bacon, but we'll do with it as it is. I'm almost done cutting all the bacon up. I had to get a different knife and that one didn't work, so I just came back to the same one that I was using before. And you kind of just want to chop it up into decent pieces. Nothing too tiny, nothing too big. Kind of guess it out yourself. Some people like to cook it before and then throw it in there, kind of like at the last minute, which is perfectly fine. It's going to achieve the same situation, but I kind of just like to cook it all there because it marinates in the flavors of everything, so it just gives it a little, more authentic flavor. This is Future Pete letting you guys know, and myself, I was incorrect and giving you some misinformation. Make sure that you do cook the bacon prior to putting it in the beans, which you probably already saw me doing, except I forgot to explain that to you. Don't throw it in the pan with the beans uncooked. So make sure you cook the bacon all the way, then add the tomato, serrano peppers, the weenies, get that all cooking, let it all simmer, get all the juices. Once it's cooked, then dump it into the pot of beans. The cutting board's been washed one last time for now. I have my pre-cut bacon here, the weenies, hot dogs, tomatoes here, serranos at the end, beans, which I'm about to dump into the boiling water because I can hear it and it's bubbling, so we're good to go on that. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off the cilantro I mentioned. Just kind of already had that prepped, dice it up, leave it in a bowl on the side, add it at the end. And I do make sure that I rinse everything off pretty thoroughly, guys. I let it run under the water for a while and then just I'm really paranoid about that. I have it draining there on top of the sink for right now. And now, last but not least, we're gonna go and prep the serrano peppers. Be really careful because the last thing you wanna do is have spicy fingers all day. So I take the end off, cut it down the middle. My little trick is that I like to cut 2 of them, take out the seeds, and then 1 of them leave the seeds in. So that way there's like a fair balance for the people that don't like it too spicy. And a little trick to do that, just take a small spoon, get the pepper, have something where you're gonna put it in and just kind of scoop it out. It avoids the seeds going everywhere and you don't have to touch it with your fingers, your fingers all spicy. See? Ta-da! Done. So you just repeat that over and over and over again. And you can pretty much do that to any kind of pepper. Now that I deveined the peppers, I'm gonna just cut them. I don't like to leave too big pieces either, so that way people can pick them out. So, you know, kind of cut them in half and just like to leave like big chunks, to be honest. It's so much easier for whoever doesn't want to eat them can take them out. And now this one is gonna be flat out. Just cut the stem and cut it into little pieces. Leave the seeds in there because that's the one that's going to be providing a lot of the spice. 2 without seeds, 2 with seeds. It should be plenty of spice. And actually with everything else that's in there, it's not even going to be that spicy because it's going to get absorbed with the weenie, the tomato, the beans, you know, all that good stuff. All right, guys, that's it for all the ingredients and all the steps that need to be done in order to prep for the beans. Right now, I'm just gonna go in and walk away for a while, let the beans boil and cook, and then I'll come back to you once we are ready to add all these other ingredients and do a little follow-up. Okay, bye. So I have the bacon going already. I let that cook for a couple minutes so it could start getting a little crispy. I added the serrano peppers, the tomatoes, and the weenies, and I'm just kind of letting them all cook, simmer in there, moving them around periodically so nothing gets stuck or burnt. I opted not to put the weenies into the beans prior. I'd rather just it all cook, get all those flavors going, and then after everything's cooked here on the skillet, you can dump it into the pot of beans and let that cook for another 15 minutes or so. Gonna make the beans taste so yummy. I just really hope they're not too spicy. I don't think so. It'll all get diluted. Added just a pinch of salt just in case. There we go. Go ahead and stir it around. And we'll be right back with the finished product, guys. And we are finally done with the whole process of the beans. I went ahead and transferred them over to this really cute pot that we have. Fun fact, we actually got this as a wedding gift. We just never found out who actually gifted it to us. It was just there with like a little bow. And this is the very first time we're gonna use them. And why not? It's appropriate since it'll be for the beans. I went ahead and already poured myself some here. And if you can see in the camera, it is steaming hot. The outside of this thing is very warm to the touch. So let's go ahead and all I'm missing right now, which we'll get before, is some limes because we do like to put some lime juice into the beans. Sorry. Yeah, I'm hungry and they're really good. But yeah, that's about it. That's all you need for this recipe. Just some quick little tips. Don't forget to cook the bacon, like I said earlier. Just pace yourself with the salt. I'm glad I didn't put all the salt that I was planning on doing because it would have been excessive. And right now I feel like it's like the right amount of salt. And other than that, just, you know, enjoy your cooking and be patient while it's on the stove and just prep everything in advance so that way once everything starts going in order, you can just kind of start dumping it all in there and letting it simmer in. And that's it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get notification every time we upload a new video. Bye and have a good day.